Hey there, thanks for tuning back in. Today I'm working on this Coleman generator. Um, it's an older one. I think by the date code, if you can see that, might be hard to show up on camera, but it's a 97, January of 97 when this was made. The history on it, I don't know much about it. I'm going to try to get more from my brother-in-law. He dropped it off. I don't know if he got it new, got it in a trade, but I know it's been sitting in his garage for several years, not ran. I don't know much more about it, whether it runs or not. I do know that it does turn over, and it sounds like it might have compression, but that's about it. Um, it looks to be in good shape. It looks to be complete. I mean, the fuel lines are still there, but they're pretty solid. Um, One thing I did notice, I don't know if these are the original wheels, because I don't, it's, the frame sits directly on the ground. So we'll get it in the garage and see if we can get it to run and make power. And should be fun working on something this old. You can tell this is not that easy to maneuver around. I don't know if these are the correct wheels, and it would benefit from a handle. So let's dig into this thing. All right, first thing I want to do is check the oil. There's some in there. It's low. I'm going to get something to dip in there to look at that oil. It's pretty black. I don't see any water or anything in it, but it's low and black. And it smells like, I can smell that there's fuel in there too. So there's enough to at least get it running and see if it runs, and then we'll definitely change that if we get it running. It looks like this is probably a low oil shut off on there. Let's check the rest of the machine. Let's take a look and see what this air filter looks like. These are pretty loose. Pretty dirty inside there. Air filters, I mean, it's dirty, but it's not disintegrated or anything. Looks salvageable. There's a lot of leaking down here. I don't see any rust. Choke moves. Looks like these bolts up here are loose for this blower housing. So somebody must have had this off at one time. I don't know what kind of fuel's in there. So let me check that first. It looks like there's a petcock on there. Let's check to see what's in that fuel. So that fuel tank is completely dry, which is a good sign. No water, no fuel in there. All right, well, let's check for spark now. Here's that spark plug. Let's see if we can't ground this out somewhere on the engine. We're on. Hope you can see that. I see no spark. Nope, we do have spark. Nope, there's spark. So that's a good sign. I think what I'll do, I'll put that plug back in, maybe put some starting fluid in the carburetor and just see if it'll fire over, and then we'll go from there. All right, a little carb spray down the carburetor. Wants to. Now, nothing. Let me try to see if I can get it right in the throat of that carburetor. Now, that should at least fire off. So I'm going to check the compression, see where we're at there. But I would guess 50 or 60 at least to get it to run. So we'll see where it's at. I'll put this somewhere where you can see it. Yeah, and we're almost, I don't know, 85, 90. So I think that's good enough. Now, because this has been sitting for 10 years, I'm going to go ahead and take this carburetor off, go through it, and then we'll see if we can get it started. We got a little 7/16 down here holding this box on. And there, that's in. All right, so let's look at getting this gas line and off of here. The clamp's already off of it. And I don't think, you can't see this. Let me get you around here. Let's see if that's going to come off or not. Probably not. Yeah, it's breaking it, and I don't want to break that plastic 90 that's going in to the carburetor either, so I think I'm just going to have to cut it if I can get my cutter in there. I think that did it mostly. There we go. That's off. See if I can slide this carburetor off. I don't think there's anything else holding it on. Oh, you know what? My dumbass. I gotta get these studs out. One, two. There we go. We're free. This return spring off. And there we go. Carburetor's out. I mean, it doesn't look terrible. Now, unfortunately, the gasket came off, broke, so I'm going to have to, I don't know, I'm going to have to try to salvage this, or hopefully I get another one. There is absolutely nothing as far as gas or any other liquid in there, which is hopefully a good thing. Let's get this bowl off. A little bit of rust or debris on there. Yo, man, that's pretty rusty. The float and the needle are not stuck. Let's get the needle out, and then we'll get these jets out. And I'm going to have to get in here with a wire brush and clean all this rust up. I mean, it could have been worse, but it's not that bad. This pin isn't going to play right. I don't want to break that ear off. It's moving. Get a better plier. This has proven to be quite the pain. I don't want to deform this pin either, because it's going to have that much trouble going back in. I might try to get the jets and stuff out and then give it a soak in the ultrasonic. And then see if that loosens it up. And maybe so I can get it out. Try to see if we can get that jet out. I might get a better screwdriver. That thing is not budging. So I might soak this and then see if I can get that jet out, because I'm not getting anywhere with this. Let's see where this is set. Half, one, about 1 1/4. On that mixture screw. And then this idle, which a generator shouldn't have an idle, so I'll just leave that where it was. I don't think there's anything else I can take out right now. Let me get this fuel line off. All right, I'm going to soak this in the ultrasonic, and then while I'm doing that, I'll clean up this bowl, get a wire wheel on it, and you want to get that pin out and see if that jet will loosen up a little bit. All right, after an 8-minute soak, this is what that carburetor looks like now. Not too bad. The bowl, after wire wheeling it out and stick it in there for about 5, cleaned up a little bit. Let's see if we can't get that pin to move. Appears to be a no. Actually, it's coming, or it's slipping off the... No, I think it's coming. There we go. Needle looks good. Now I'll see if I can... Boy, it's... Seat looks okay. But now with that needle, I'm going to soak this again, but I still want to try to get that jet out of there. I'm just tearing it up, so I'm going to try an impact. See if that is going to help me. Nope, it's just tearing it up. So I'll run some brushes down there to see if I can't make sure that's clear. First, let's see if it is clear. It is. It's going all the way through the... I don't know if you can see that or not. But that brush is going all the way through the emulsion tube, so... And this is still pretty dirty. I'm going to let this soak again. I'll clean some of these passages out. Nothing looks clogged. I mean, they're all free. So I'm going to soak this again and soak the bowl. I will stick the needle in there too, just to give it another good bath. All right, well, I'd say that looks a lot better. Hopefully I have this gasket still. But, I mean, there's still a little debris on here, but everything is moving. I think everything is pretty clear. So I am going to blow this out, put it back together, make sure all these passageways are clear, and get it back together and put it on the machine. See if we can get it to run. After I put this carburetor back together, I scraped off that old broken gasket that was on there, and I have a replacement that fits, sort of. This one here looks like it should work, kind of fits. Then I was going to scrape the rest of it off the intake here, but this whole kind of a heat shield piece is the gasket. And this is the piece that broke off that I already scraped off, and it's in pieces. I would never be able to piece it back together. So I don't know if I want to break the rest of that off and put that other replacement gasket in there, or cut this one to fit this one, but this is the only one I got, and if I mess up my cut, then I just ruin the only replacement gasket that I have. Put some pieces around here, maybe the pieces that I still have left. Temporary, I just want to, before I put much more money and work into this, I want to make sure this engine will run. So I'm going to try to piece this back together, get this carburetor on, put a temporary fuel source to it just to see if we can get it to fire up. All right, the carburetor's back on. I got it hooked up to a temporary fuel source going into the carburetor. I already checked, it is getting, that bowl is filling up. I got a light plugged in. We'll go ahead and see if it starts and see if it makes power. All right, we're on position. Have to hold that choke. I'm going to give it a little help with some carb spray because I can't hold that choke closed with that airbox off. I'm getting nothing. I'm going to check for spark again. Well, I just checked for spark again, and I have no spark. So, another thing I can think of, either I thought I saw spark before and didn't, or that was low on oil, so now that engine is turning over a little bit, the mechanism that shuts off for that low oil. So I'm going to add some oil, see if I get spark again. All right, oil topped off up to the last threads there. So we'll see if that gives me spark now. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but there is spark there again. Okay, well, we have spark, we have compression, and hopefully fuel. Let's see if this works again. Well, that ended a little scarier than it started. It did start, it did make power. It was sputtering, and I forgot to turn the choke off. Once I turned the choke off, it ran fine and lit that light up pretty well. It sounded good. When I went to turn it off, reaching for that on-off switch, I couldn't find it. Saw it laying here on the ground. So I can see now after picking it up that it's broken off. I was trying to put it in there and trying to turn it off, and I couldn't get it to turn off. So I just turned the fuel off and let it run out of fuel to shut it down. But I'm pretty sure this broke off because, and I even mentioned it before, this blower housing is not tightened on all the way. So I'm sure this was rattling around and broke off this on-off switch. Um, um, now that I know it runs good. It does make power. And it sounds like that carburetor was running it pretty well. I'll take this blower housing off and see if what I can do to fix this switch or replace it. And then after that, I'm gonna have to replace these fuel lines and get it running on its own fuel from this tank. The tank is clean, so I don't think I have to do anything with it other than replace the lines. Hopefully that petcock is good. I don't know if you can see it under there. I don't know if that thing leaks or not. So yeah, let me get this blower housing off and see what this on-off switch entails. Like I said earlier, these nuts were loose on here, these bolts. I don't know if I'm going to have another one, or I may have to take that air cleaner housing back off. This one down here, this one's tight. Well, I'll bring it back after I get this off. All right, that's loose from there. I should be able to slide that blower housing off now. There we go. So here's the end of that kill switch right here. And I don't know how I can find it. I don't know how that worked. You know, this piece of plastic is broken off here. And I don't know if what's on the other end of this, what this connects to, if it fell through. But what I might end up doing is just replacing this broken one with a newer type of switch. But I was thinking maybe I can just find one of these and print it. I think I'm going to research this and see what was connected to this on the inside of this housing, how this grounded this motor out. So let me do that, research what this should look like, and try to figure that out. All right, so I found the piece that came out. This little piece, this actually fell out a long time ago when I first started looking at this machine, and just kind of put it up and realized that where this went, what this went to now. So there's a little tab that's on the bottom of here that's broken off that held on. It held on to this little brass tab or metal tab, and when you turned it, it ground out the engine. And I'll put it back in here and show you. So here it is, in the on-off switch inside of it, and with that in there, just by turning that little bit, that little tab would ground against the metal blower housing and ground it out. So just that little bit of turning, I don't know if you can see that, it's kind of really small, but so, and then this wire would connect to this switch to ground it out. Now, I don't have, this is not going to work because that little tab is off. As I turn it, that's not going to spin that to ground it out on the metal. So I can do a couple things. I can order a new one of these I'll find out how much it is, or I can just put a newer style kill switch on here, and I'll grab one of those and show you. So I got that old switch housing off, and looking at this does not fit inside here, and without boring this hole out to where I could fit this switch in here and get the wires to run underneath here, I think what I'll do, I'm going to look to see how much that replacement switch is and see what it costs. So far, I'm into this for nothing. A little bit of time, and so if that switch is less than $10, I might just order another one, and we'll get back to that when that comes in. Not sure how well this is going to show up, but a replacement one's about $16, $18 for a aftermarket one. An OEM one, $50. I'm definitely going to go with the aftermarket one. I can get it here tomorrow, and I'll get that new one back on and see if we can get it working. All right, a couple of days later, and the new part came in. This is the old broken one and the new one. I'll open that up and get it installed in here. But also, while I was shopping, I did want to look at a new air cleaner. This one is good enough, but it's soaked with something, and I don't know. I know it would work, but it probably could have been replaced anyway. So looking online, this new air filter was like $9, but for $21, I can get the air filter, a new aftermarket carburetor, which I don't need for this, but I was looking for that gasket that I tore, and for, like I said, $21, it came with the air filter, the carburetor, that new gasket that I don't know if I'm going to use yet. If I don't have an air leak, I'm going to just keep this around for extra spare parts. Came with a couple more gaskets for that carburetor, a new spark plug, and a inline fuel filter. So just spending that, doubling my money, spending instead of $9, $21. I got another carb that I can use on something else or parts, and I got the gaskets that I need and another spark plug. So let me open this up, get this installed, and then we'll. I know I'm going to have to replace those fuel lines, but we'll get this on the blower housing here first. Open up this new part. It doesn't seem to want to turn. Yeah, it's getting caught on that piece of plastic there. So either I'm going to have to bend that in, or maybe when it's inside this housing, maybe it'll have clearance to turn there. Now the other one I don't have the piece on. Oh, right there. The switch will not turn until it's installed in the blower housing. So instructions are good for some things. I'm glad I didn't try to force that, because I might have broken that. So this only goes in one way. This tab here is what pushes that piece of metal that's going to ground it out. Out of the way so it can be turned. Yep. And I don't know if you can, how well you can see that, but when that is turned in the off position, that piece of metal touches the metal on the blower housing, which grounds it out. All right, airbox is back on. Choke's closed. And that on and off switch works. Got that cut, get this clamp on the line. And then we'll slide this clamp up. We have to get 2 more clamps on back there. All right, fuel should be good. I'm going to button the rest of this up, put that new air cleaner in, and then take it outside and run it and do adjustments that I need. Then I will change oil, but while it's out there running, I'm going to test both of the outlets on the back, or there's 4 outlets on the back of this for power. I'll test those, and if they all work, then I'll bring this back in while this oil is nice and hot, change this oil. All right, got that air box all cleaned up, new filter going in. And that cleaned up really good. I hope the rest of it cleans up that well, especially this tank. It's pretty dirty on top of it. And then I'll get the generator cleaned up a little bit more on the other side of that blower housing and engine, but we'll do that all after we change the oil. Let's bring it outside, put some gas in it, and see if it's taking fuel, see if that gas tank is not leaking, and then we'll start it up and get it adjusted and make sure all those outlets work. I'm going to put a little bit of gas in here, not much. I don't want it to sit in here for too long. I don't know what my plan is with this, whether I'm going to sell it. I don't need it myself, but I'll see if anybody else needs it, and then if not, I'll try to sell it. I don't see any fuel leaking. It's hard to tell if that if there's fuel in that fuel filter. There is a shutoff. That seems like it's the off position. I'm going to go halfway with it just because I don't know which position is what. All right. We'll try to get it started up and see if all those outlets work. Choke's on. Might need to turn the switch on. Well, it runs, and it runs under a load. I don't know what that load was. Not familiar with wattages and power and all that stuff, but it did under a biggest load that I could put on it with this dryer heat gun and this LED lamp. It you could definitely tell that it, it pulled a little bit more power and slowed down a little bit. I tried to plug into these, but these are a different type of outlet. I don't know if that's a, man, I just got burned by my heat gun. I just set my elbow on the end of that. That's hot. I don't know. Yeah, these are 240. These are 120. So I don't have a plug that works that. So yeah, everything ran good and it made the power that it needed. So I'm going to get this back in the garage, clean it up pretty well, change out oil, and this will be good to go. Well, there it is, all cleaned up and running just fine. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. Either find somebody that is in need of one or try to resell it. But appreciate you watching. All I really did was change fuel lines, clean the carburetor out. I had to fix that on-off switch, put a new air filter in it, and change oil. I mean, basically just a tune-up, and it's running. 1997, I think I said, when this is built. So this is almost 20 years old and still running, still making power. I don't know how much power, but it definitely powered that heat gun and that lamp on. And I don't have anything to test that 240 volt system on here, but thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.